When I was working on one of my projects, I stumbled upon an age-old conundrum for developers and creators in general. Do you spend hours on end trying to make a thing, or do you get something from someone else to do it for you? Hi, welcome to the video. Let's talk about when it's the best time to build it or buy it. Ooh, I need a haircut. And a teleprompter. To be clear, building means to me coding a new feature into your project by using as little outside libraries as possible. On the other hand, when I buy, I get a pre-built piece of software made by someone else. But you don't necessarily exchange money. In my situation, the Unity and Unreal Engine, for example, are free to start with, but they require money if your commercial project gets too big. Many non-standard libraries like Xamarin, jQuery, Newtonsoft are free to use in any personal or commercial product. In other fields, if you're a musician for example, you can choose to buy a sample pack or build it yourself by playing an instrument. If you're a 3D modeler, you can choose to make every model yourself or get a model pack to bash it, as it's called in the industry. At first glance, buying seems to be the better option. You can literally set up a fully working project in minutes that would take months, if not years, to build yourself. It does not make sense to make everything from scratch. To stay in my own field, as current computers have gotten smaller and more complicated, with more computing power and resources come more headache. It's handy not to have to think about what happens at the CPU core level when you are trying to make a cat jump in your game, for example. There is a concerning development, however. Over the years, more layers got added to modern systems compared to their, say, 8-bit counterparts. An 8-bit system may have a CPU, assembly code, and maybe an operating system, and that's about it. In current systems, add to that maybe an additional GPU, programming code, network card, libraries, drivers, scripting code, libraries to simplify the previous libraries, and suddenly you can't get anything done because everything is so dumbed down and hidden and you start screaming, "Why don't you work, Xamarin? I just want to display some text!" At some point, using third-party stuff takes way more time to figure out. This is a great moment to build something yourself. Apart from getting to practice, it's a great moment to learn about underlying protocols and design philosophies of whatever you're trying to build. It's fun to write parsers for file formats, and it's also fun to figuring out what input drivers needed, for example. If you know what you're doing and maybe have a document with the specifications, you can get very far with very little outside libraries. That is a big if, however. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't have the specs, if you don't know how something is supposed to work, or don't even plan your code before you start, you can get stuck very fast for very long. Suddenly nothing works reliably anymore, your whole code looks like spaghetti, fixing even one bug takes you way longer than expected. Maybe even longer than figuring out that third-party solution? Uh-oh. And thus, we find ourselves in an endless circle. The bought stuff might not work, and your own code looks like a mess. Obviously, you need to strike a balance between the two, and no one can tell you where that balance lies. Finding this balance is more art than science. It depends on your own capabilities and how you get into your creative zone. For me personally, I try to make as much as possible for myself. To tie back to my previous video, I had a lot of fun building my own MIDI implementation in the Unity engine. I now know the ins and outs of the MIDI protocol, and I learned a thing or two about sending information in general. It was fun, but there are many perfectly good solutions to get MIDI working in Unity out there. I assume they are good as I haven't tried any of them, but they're out there. There are a couple of areas, however, where I will use third-party stuff. In-game physics are a nightmare to debug, and although I like doing shader programming, I just buy someone else's shader. So when do you build or buy for your projects? Let me know in the comments down below. This video was a bit of an experiment. Next video is going to be about my own project again, because I know all of my 2 subscribers personally and I know they are here for the updates. So, I love you guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.